So once again, everybody, welcome to the Monday webinar. It is so excellent to see you all. We have some awesome things to cover. I'm going to talk a little tiny bit today about some of the trades that we have running from last week, but a lot of that comes from the trade group that a lot of you guys were not in attendance for, or whatever the case may be, because some of these have come from our day-to-day updates. Now, if you would like to get these day-to-day updates so that you can be in all of the trades that we're in, and we've got some great profitable trades running, remember you can just go to daytradersfx.com, and if you click on 5-day free trial start now, and I'll give you a little secret, you can actually click on anywhere there. You can click on that little F if you want, or the corner of the arrow, but if you click on Start Now, that'll take you to an area where you can get a free trial to the trading group, which is this. So we do these updates twice a day, and we get some fantastic setups. We have some really great ones running, and we have some really, really great ones coming. Then you can see that free trial. You can get a free trial to the live trade group right there. If you keep scrolling down, you can get a free trial and membership to just the website, which I post all these recordings every day, so you get a good bit from the website situation, and I post notes every single day, a couple times a day, about all of our trades, and there's 2 recordings every day as well in the website, so you get a pretty good bang for your buck on the website only. But a lot of people like trade groups. You can interact with people and answer questions and be able to get a good feel for things. So either way, you can get that at daytradersfx.com. We'd love to have you in the group with us. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what we have on the calendar this week. We've seen some big movement, and there's plenty more to come. So as far as everything goes, Mosey, I'll get back to that in just a moment. Can you remind me at the end, and I'll answer that and give you a little bit of details there. So as far as the calendar goes this week, we don't have anything too exciting today. It looks like we have some Chinese news a little later on tonight, but it all starts really pounding on Monday night, Tuesday morning. So we have German Zoo, which it's going to be pretty important. I'm going to talk about some of these Euro setups that we need to watch for. And then we have a little bit of Aussie news. We have retail sales for the U.S., which is always a good mover, so that's going to be a good one Tuesday morning. Then we have some New Zealand news Tuesday afternoon, which is always good, and retail sales. So the New Zealand pairs, which we're watching, we're looking at Aussie New Zealand, and we're looking at New Zealand dollar, and so that one's going to be interesting on Tuesday for sure. Wednesday, another big one. We're looking at pound pairs, and we have employment numbers for the UK on Wednesday, and this is going to be a big deal. So we're going to keep an eye on that. I will be in the chat Wednesday morning at 1:30 a.m. Just watching this and seeing how everything goes and seeing if there's any adjustments we need to make to our trade. So that'll be a good one to keep an eye on. And then Thursday, we've got more big U.S. news. Yellen speaks again on Thursday. Manufacturing details out of Canada. And then Friday, more U.S. news. So there's going to be plenty of action this week. One thing I am definitely not worried about is a shortage of trade setups. Okay, so just to kind of mention this, we are already short euro dollar. Our big wonderful short got stopped out at break even, but we've got another short at a lower price that's in, and everything's looking good, and we're going to hang on to this euro dollar for like another 500 pips probably. But here's what I'm looking for on euro dollar right now. There is no doubt about the fact that this huge price rejection, this is what, I've just been screaming this for weeks and weeks and weeks. And that is, number one, the euro is ready to sell off, and it's most likely going to sell off nicely right below 140, which it exactly did. And number two, that May is such a great time for movement, which has proven already to be the case. So here is what we need to be looking at as far as what to do in the continued euro-dollar setup here. Number one, I'm looking for a bit of a bounce here, and I'm looking to still trade this down. Very minimum target, super short-term target is 165.50, and that's like the most near-term target that I can find. I'm still looking for at least 13400, and I think ultimately we're going to get down to 131.50 and below, but at least 13400 for a medium-term target. Short-term, 136.50. But we're already in it. We've got some good profit and some good pips. This is huge price rejection. This is also a very fantastic double top. So we had this high right here, and it came up and just tried to give us a little set there, but then Draghi got the market spooked like crazy, and everything sold off nicely. So what I'm looking for in this euro dollar is absolutely to sell the rallies, and I think we're going to get some good rallies. So we've got to be ready for that. To sell those rallies. So anything basically above 13800 is good in my book to start selling these rallies. I know it seems painful, like we're going to have stops up above 140. Don't care. I am selling this thing above 13800, and I am holding on to it until, again, at least 136.50 would be the very minimum, but a more realistic target, I guess, bigger target, but also very realistic, is 13400, 131.50. So anything above 13800 gets me super interested. Here's the thing, though. I think if we get above 13800, we're probably going to see 138.40, 30, 40, 50 area. So my entry zone for us to put on more positions on euro dollar, and for those that are not in it yet, I am excited to add more entries between about 138.20 and 138.50. Right in that general area is going to be a super fantastic spot to add euro dollar shorts. I don't want to do anything in the middle there because that's just craziness, and it's going to have to pull back a little bit. This is a pretty big rundown, and so I can see at least getting 50 pips of retracement. So I'm looking, again, right around that 138.20, 138.50, give or take. It could be, a little bit lower here, and I'm going to kind of classify or specify that for the group members as we go. But again, I'm just looking for anything above 13800 to continue shorting euro dollar. Yes, absolutely, Mel. Pending limit orders are a great idea here. Especially if news spikes it up in the middle of the night, because this is very likely for news to spike this thing up and just have it come right back down. So this is a great one to just get some limit orders up here and just let this thing ride. If you can hedge, if this decides to make a double top, then hedge it at whatever point is your money management says to, or use a stop loss if you feel like it. I would absolutely, definitely, positively not use a stop loss on this. I'm looking to get into this thing and just hold on to it. It's just not going to make a huge run up. It could make a little bit of a bigger retracement than expected, and I don't even care about that. I'm just excited to get short again in euro dollar, more short. Scenario B, and this will answer your question, Steve, if this does not pull back, which it's possible, it's absolutely possible that this does not pull back and get us into that weekly pivot, totally possible. Then what we're looking to do is I'm going to sell the break of the low. This is basically 137, our low is about 137.45, and I think that's a pretty safe bet to sell that break and continue on down there. So I will be totally ready to do that. Add more positions at the break of 137.45. Again, you can see in the big picture that's just this guy right here. And that could be a pretty easy run down into that 200 moving average on the daily chart. So we could get additional positions for another easy 100 pips. So be prepared to sell the break of 137.45, but most likely we want to sell the spike up around 138. 15, 20, 30 area, 40, right in that general spot. So be ready for that. Super excited for that. And remember, even if this thing breaks and dips down, especially if it does not touch the 200 moving average, then we're still very likely to see that weekly pivot get taken out before bigger moves. So keep an eye on that 138. We'll just say 138.30 area as a great little retracement zone and a good spot to get some additional positions going. Now remember, it's going to really be all about 13800. If the euro cannot get above 13800, I am going to be totally ready to add positions at 13800 to continue selling, and that will be like a trend line break type of an entry. 13800 is the 23% fib, and it's also just a good round number, and there's definitely some resistance there. So 13800 may not let the market push much higher, and if that's the case, we need to be ready to enter there. And as we go day to day, I will advise everybody in the group what we're going to be doing there, but we may be getting entries a little bit sooner, but hopefully we'll get up to, you know, around 138.30, 40 area. And if we do get above 13800, I think we're going to reach that 138.40 area most likely. So be ready for that. Pound dollar is a super interesting setup right here. We have some good things going on with the pound dollar. Number one, there is still a very strong bullish bias on pound dollar. A lot of traders are buying this dip and looking to, you know, trade it higher, get it up into that 170.50, 170.100, so on and so forth. And it might be able to do that. Who knows? I think that's a real possibility. What we have here, though, is a very nice little setup. We had this nice rising wedge that finally made a break for it. So that's this guy right here, and we have that rising wedge is looking super glorious and fantastic. We broke out and we're pulling back up. We got a little inverted hammer right there and some of that stuff. So this is probably going to continue higher. What I'm looking for in the pound dollar is ultimately I'm looking to see if we get a head and shoulders pattern. Our rising wedge is broken, and usually when a rising wedge breaks, it's also, not only is it a trade in and of itself, it's also a signal of a bigger price pattern, a bigger setup. And so I could see a head and shoulders pattern happening, I could see a double top happening, a whole bunch of things could happen just below that 170. We could also break 170 and make a little bit of a higher push, which would just extend this head a little bit and then work on that right shoulder later on. Either way, I'm looking for opportunities to enter this pound dollar and sell this rally because of a couple of things. So far, we've seen a nice run away from this 200 moving average, which is pretty uncharacteristic of the pound dollar. It can make some pretty big runs away from the 200 moving average, but we're up over 200. We're around 220 bars since the last touch of the 200 moving average on the pound dollar. For dollar pairs, that's a big movement. All dollar pairs, excluding dollar yen, that is a huge move away from the 200 moving average on a daily chart. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Thing number next is that we have tons of missed weekly pivots down below, which are huge targets and are really just sucking the market into that. And not to mention the fact that we also have a 4-hour chart that has a 200 moving average. It's crazy overextended as well. Let me correct that. It's not crazy overextended, but it's at those definitely extended on the buy side setups on this 4-hour chart. So the 4 hours looking pretty good for continuation back down as well. We see a couple of things. We have a nice little set of tweezers here on this pound dollar 4-hour chart. The daily chart, you know, again, we're probably going to get a little bit of an inverted hammer there, which is, you know, not amazingly interesting. But what I would like to see is we're only on the pound dollar from this high, which is just short of 170. We're about 125 pips from that high. So I'm not looking for any crazy entry just yet. We've already got a short position in the low 16800s. We're hedged and we're waiting. I'm going to be looking for probably a double top. If we don't see that, I'm going to be watching this 16900 super closely. I think 16900 and 16920 are going to be interesting areas to see if we get some breaks or any activity around there. So I'm going to be looking to add shorts on the rally on the pound dollar anywhere between 16900 and 170, and I need to see price action. I need to see a couple of things to kind of determine exactly where that entry is going to be. Because if we get into this thing and maybe we need to hedge it again or we need to take a loss or whatever we need to do, it's going to really center around what it does at 170. So we got to get a little closer to 170. So I'm not in a huge rush on pound dollar just yet. But it is looking very interesting. And remember that 4-hour and daily chart is super on the stretch side. So I'm definitely looking to get into this thing. I'm not super excited if it doesn't retrace, for example. I would consider adding a little bit more on the short side below 168.50, but I'm not really excited about that one. For the moment, I'll just hold on to our positions and wait for a reaction up a little bit closer, up above 16900. We'll see if we can get back up above 16900, and then I'm going to be very actively looking for some big shorts on this one. So we're just kind of in holding pattern on this pound dollar, but so far it's looking great, and this is probably going to be the next big runner that we have that's going to give us some pretty excellent pips. So euro dollar is looking awesome so far, and the pound dollar is just getting better. Nothing too much on Aussie dollar for the moment. One thing I'm looking at on dollar CAD is, I think this one's pretty interesting. Remember, we've been talking about the dollar CAD reaching the 200 moving average, which it did very nicely, and we had a missed weekly pivot down here about 108, a little above 10800. And so the dollar CAD bounced down there, and we have these nice little train tracks. We just have this great little reversal pattern, and as long as we can kind of get above and stay above this 10900 area, which it's basically sitting at right now, then we're probably going to see a pretty nice run back up on dollar CAD and into some of these upper areas. We're looking for dollar strength. Remember, we're about 80 pips off the low currently, so I'm definitely looking to trade to get long against these lows on dollar CAD and see if we can get a nice little run up. Remember, our 4-hour chart is getting a little on the push side. It's getting a little overextended, nothing too crazy. 1-hour chart is definitely on the overextended side, short, and again, 1-hour chart is pretty short term, about 140 bars or so, give or take. But what I like on this 1-hour chart is the fact that nice little double bottom right here, and then we have a good looking bull flag that's retraced about 38%. So pound dollar, or excuse me, dollar CAD has got a nice little move. I would definitely look at getting long, probably again, above 10900 is pretty good, but it's sitting right at that. A good safe bet is getting long, really above this high, about 10915 is going to be a great little setup for the dollar CAD. So look at those longs, look at those buys above 10915, and start targeting some of those upper areas. We've got a couple of missed daily pivots and so on along the way. I think there's a missed weekly pivot creeping around somewhere in here that we can target. It looks like we have one right there. I don't know. It's loading. It'll show up in just a second. But I do like this. Remember, our target was just looking for a move into the 200 moving average, which we got. And so I think there's going to be a nice little run back up on this one. So longs with shorts, or excuse me, with stops below 10800 and entries just above 10900 should really get this dollar CAD cranking and moving to the upside. And this little bull flag's looking pretty good. Shorter term plays, those looking for those shorter term plays can get long against this 10875, and still look at those entries above 10915, just to kind of make sure we're in the clear. But looking at 10950, 60 seems like a pretty easy target for dollar CAD. So keep an eye on that. Euro Aussie, I am super interested in. Remember, the Aussie dollar is holding totally strong. I mean, the Aussie dollar hasn't taken a hit. We saw pound dollar sell off pretty nicely from the high of last week. I mean, not a huge amount, but it sold off pretty well. Euro dollar obviously sold off pretty hugely well. And then we have this Euro Aussie that is just sitting and waiting. And we have some big picture stuff that is still looking super awesome. For example, our neckline that broke on this pair, which was right around this area here, gives us a price projection again of just about 800 pips. As we broke that neckline, 800 pips takes us into this about 14200 target. You can see we're at about 14700. So, and the Aussie seems to be holding strong, and the euro is crazy weak. It's definitely weak. So, I'd like to see a little bit of retracement on this euro dollar, but I honestly don't know how much I think we're going to see. If we got back up by some crazy chance, if this spiked back up to 14800, where that current weekly pivot for this week is, which I am pretty doubtful that we'll see unless something crazy happens in the euro side of things. If we see a move up there, I'm absolutely short just below 14800. No questions asked. I'm short euro Aussie below 14800. Boom, that's it. But again, I'm not super optimistic that we're going to see a run that high. Instead, I think we have a very, very good chance at shorting the break of 146.50. So you can see we're at about 140, just about 14700. So about 50 pips lower. I think we have a great opportunity to short the break of this double top. This thing ran down, hit the 200 moving average, bounced back up a little bit, and it's just right back to that level again. And you know, without a doubt, we're breaking that. We're running through that, and we're going to take out a couple of old pivots down there. We have another one at 146.35 area, and then we've got all these daily pivots along the way, and then our ultimate target of about 14200 is going to be a great Euro Aussie trade. So be ready to short the break of that 146.50. But hopefully we'll get a little bit of pullback. Again, I'm not super confident that we're going to get big Euro pullbacks, but anything that we do get, I will be ready to just jump in and short this Euro. So especially Euro Aussie, I really, really like Euro Aussie shorts, and I think there is, I think there's a minimum of 400 pips left in this movement, but most likely we can get a little bit more, especially if we get that spike up higher. So be ready on the Euro Aussie for that. Pound Aussie's not looking too amazing for the moment, so we'll keep an eye on this, and I'll keep you posted as things happen. Our CAD Swiss franc is looking super, super good. We've got a couple of positions, and they're up over 100 pips. We're in at 80.20 and 80.40, and you can see it's at 81.40. So we've got some great profits rolling on this thing, over 100 pips so far. And I think it's just getting warmed up. I think we're just getting warmed up here. We're still making that run. We've officially... Here's the thing I don't want you guys to miss out on, and this is what so many of us do, is we look back and we say, oh, that was a perfect head and shoulders, or that was a perfect double top. How did I miss that? Because these things happen and we think, oh, it's already gone too far and now it's too late. And in fact, the CAD Swiss franc has only just really crossed this neckline. And it's only 20 or so pips past the open above the neckline. So we talked about some entries to get long for those that were not in, or to add positions down between 80.75, 80.95. It dipped down right into the top of that area right here and then pulled back up again. Again, we've got a nice weekly pivot and a nice little 200 moving average. So if we get back down, if we get a little dip below 8100, so about, again, back into that 80, 90 area, that will be a good spot to get long again, add more longs to your existing longs, etc., on this CAD Swiss franc. I really like the CAD Swiss franc, and I think we're going to see some great pips on this. So it's run very nicely. It's going to continue to run. We're in some. We have multiple positions on this one, and we'll add another position if we get back below 8100 once again, and we'll just keep jumping into this thing and trading it up into. We have minimal targets on this thing of 8300, and I think we're going to see 8350 and 8400 probably without too terribly much work. So that's what we're looking for on CAD Swiss franc. That one is just fantastic looking. And guys, send over your questions. I'm kind of, so that this recording doesn't have to go on forever and ever, I'm kind of running through these, and then I will answer all your questions right at the end. So please type them in. I see a few there, and I'll get right to those. And type any more questions, comments in, and we'll make sure to get to all of them. Aussie New Zealand is not doing anything too much for me just yet, but I am absolutely watching. And if we have to get in above 10900, darn it, I will do it. But that's definitely not my favorite scenario. So hopefully we get a little retracement, get back down a little closer to 10700 area, 10750, anything. Just somewhere below 10800 would make me feel a whole lot better about this Aussie New Zealand. But we're not in it for the moment. I don't have any entries right now. Just kind of watching and waiting on this one. Dollar Swiss franc. I love the dollar Swiss franc absolutely as much as I love the euro dollar. I think these are both great trades. We talked about this endlessly, which is the test of 8,700. You can see that this tapped out right there and just huge price rejection. Is it too late to jump into the dollar Swiss franc? Have we missed all opportunities all the way? Absolutely, positively not. So this is what we're looking for on dollar Swiss franc. This is a great little trade, great little setup. We're looking to target about 9,300. This is our first missed weekly pivot, and I think we're going to get there sooner than later. The dollar Swiss franc has been struggling for some time to get above the 200 moving average, and it's had a heck of a time doing it. And I think this is our opportunity. It made a stab at it, came down, made a lower low. Another stab at it, lower low. Didn't even get all the way up to it. And now we have a perfect double bottom, and we have a nice little gap in the 200 moving average. So I love this trade, and I think 9,300 is a good, easy target. What I want to see happen here is give us some entries a little closer to this low. Right now we're about 180 pips off that low. If I can see this anywhere below 88.50, I'm jumping into the dollar Swiss franc. Below 88.50, I am in it, and I'm just going to hang on to it and let it do its thing for as long as it needs to do it. So any pullbacks below 88.50 will be a good area for me to start getting long dollar Swiss franc. So be ready for that, and I think we're going to see some of that happening sooner than later. We have a nice weekly pivot for this week around 88.15. We have a nice 200 moving average overlapping that. Everything looks good for some pullback. So again, below 88.50, I am adding longs to dollar Swiss franc. Euro CAD, I love to death. It gave us a big payout this week. Some people got stopped out of it. Some rode it. If you are out of the dollar or the Euro Swiss, good grief, the Euro CAD, don't even worry for more than 2.5 seconds, because we are going to have another great opportunity to get into this thing. I think some pullback is going to be probably pretty easy here. We had this nice run down. Remember, it just barely opened below the neckline of this 200 moving average. Now, I think we're going to have a nice opportunity to get in this with a minimum profit target of about 250 pips. I'm looking to get in anywhere between 150.50 and 150, probably 75, and I'm going to have stops or hedges above 150.100. Above 150.100, we'll hedge that thing and just wait it out a little bit till it comes back down. But the trend is down on EuroCAD, and this thing is headed south in a big way. And I'm excited about getting more positions on this one. So right around that 150.50 to 150.75, let's jump right back in this sucker, and we're trading it down to 147.50 and 14800 area, and then even more below. We have huge profit targets down there. And the Euro CAD is the same way. This thing has not touched the 200 moving average in a long time, which means it'll probably bounce when it hits, and it may be able to break sooner than later. It might have a big bounce, and so that's why we're just going to kind of target this 147.50 for the moment, and then kind of take it from there. But great head and shoulders pattern, perfect neckline break. Everything's looking super, super awesome. If we don't get any retracement, you can see that there is that perfect, the lowest point of this guy right here, of this left shoulder, is just a double bottom right here, and you can see that that's about 14900, and that is an acceptable area to trade a break if we just can't get an entry. If we can't get an entry at a better price, then I'll trade a break of 14900, and I'll be okay with that. But I think we're going to be able to get in up above 150. In fact, I'm sure of it, and so let's hold off for that and wait for that movement. Any questions on EuroCAD? Any questions at all? Pound CAD is looking good. We're kind of breaking out of this whole situation, or attempting anyways. Big price rejection here, and this pound CAD still just doesn't seem to want to give it to us. So I'm not doing anything yet here, but I am keeping it on the radar, and I will be looking for something to happen sooner than later. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. So we looked at the Aussie New Zealand. We know we have some big New Zealand news. So let's just keep an eye on this thing. But let's make no mistake about the fact that this is a perfect double top on the daily chart. We had a nice little high right here. We made an attempt at breaking that high. Huge reversal candle, big price rejection, and this guy is ready for a move down into the 200 moving average, which is 230 plus pips away. Right now from the high on this daily chart, we're only 150 pips, so I think we're going to get a nice little opportunity for some retracement. If we see this thing back up around the weekly pivot, you can see here's our weekly pivot, which is about 86, 70 or so area. So again, looking for about 50 pips of pullback, which I could very likely see. And remember, if we see this pullback, a lot of people are going to think this was the dip. This is where I was supposed to buy. don't lose focus of what we are definitely looking to target and do here, and that is trade against this double top, target the 200 moving average. And so when these things spike up, remember to sell those rallies. Don't get caught up in markets are moving up, I need to buy everything, because you're going to find yourself buying into tops like crazy, and we do not want to do that. So keep the big picture in mind. And those are kind of all the pairs I'm looking at right now. I am going to get to your questions as soon as I get this recording posted here, or as soon as I get it formatting. Thank you for joining us, and I am going to take everyone's questions right now.